Now let's talk about the idea that healthy food is more expensive. Sometimes we look at adding healthier options to our meals, but we don't take anything away. So we just buy more stuff at the grocery store. We're like, well, I should be eating fruit, so I'm going to buy this bag of apples. This bag of apples is $4. Are you kidding me? These fresh blueberries are $6. These fresh strawberries are $4. This bag of grapes is $7. If you're adding those on to things that you're doing, yes, it can start to add up, and it seems that it's going to be more expensive. But we cut back on meat, expensive. If we cut back on sugary drinks, nutritionally empty. Alcohol, not necessary for life. Eating out. Let's do a cost-benefit analysis and see how long you do that. Or the treat yourself mentality. Be wise, what can I say more? Next time you're grocery shopping, or next time you're eating out or getting a drink, just look and see what the most expensive thing that you're buying is. You might find out that you could get a whole other entree for the price of that drink. Now, sometimes you'll hear things like, oh, we can get that carrot for the same price as you could get a Twinkie. Why is that even the case? You have to remember that labor, time, desire, supply, and demand go into all of those things. You can create a formula for Twinkies and see how many you can crank out of that factory in an hour all the time. But how many carrots can you crank out of the ground continually? Supply and demand. But when we think of cheap food, we automatically go to fast food. It's a fallacy that you think your only two options are either to eat McDonald's or eat a carrot. Yes, healthy food could be more expensive, but you can get a bunch of bananas that would feed you for a week, or you could get a egg McMuffin. You could get a bag of frozen chicken, or you could get a Wendy's 4 for $4. You could buy a bag of potatoes, or you could get a Dunkin's and Starbucks drink. So oftentimes it's how we allocate that money. There is a trade-off here in time and skill. Yes, you could get those potatoes, and yes, you could get those bananas, and yes, you could get that chicken, but do you have the ability to then make something out of it? And are you willing to spend the time to do that now? Do you think that the food industry, has promoted the need for these higher cost foods? Because the research shows that people, if they believe it is too expensive to eat healthy, they're not going to try and eat healthy. And I talk a lot about bias, so I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I have a bias. This is one of the biases of mine. Organic and non-GMO food cause people to believe that eating healthier must be expensive. But you don't have to eat organic or non-GMO to be healthy. There's a lot of research out there about eating fruits and vegetables and the benefits that can come from that. There's not that much research on saying that it needs to be organic or non-GMO. So the question is, has Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, organic and non-GMO labeling, have they helped or hurt the cause of thinking that you have to pay more to get healthy foods? And if you're poor, you're just out of luck. Just out of curiosity, did you ever grow up with a garden? Have you ever planted anything in your backyard? Have you ever grown your own food? What would be your barriers to doing that? Another thing, the idea of farm subsidies, or paying farmers to produce a certain crop, and in doing so that crop is going to be, or that produce is going to be less expensive. Did you know that 2/3 of the U.S. food supply goes to feeding livestock? I'll leave that link in there with it so you can review it too. Humans only eat about 25% of the food that we produce in the U.S. And so 2/3 go to animals, 25 goes to humans, and then the other percentage goes to biofuel. We could feed a whole another 800 million people if we didn't feed as many animals and we fed ourselves instead. So what if I told you that if we stopped feeding so many animals, meaning eating so many animals, that plants would be cheaper? I'm telling you guys, this is my jam, the whole why of nutrition, right? Now, in referencing SNAP and WIC, is the purpose of SNAP or WIC to provide all grocery needs or to provide a supplement for people? So when we make that distinction, are we buying their entire grocery list, or are we allowing them to stretch their funds a little bit further? Now, if a Hmong family came into a WIC for nutrition assistance, how would you educate that person on healthy dietary options in a way that's communicable, translatable, applicable, culturally appropriate, and would SNAP or WIC be accepted where they shop? Or what if they bought animals to sacrifice with that government assistance instead of choosing healthier options? Now, some of you mentioned food insecurity in the Native American reservations. I'll just tell you this: the highest rates of obesity, heart disease, and diabetes take place on Native American reservations. So just know that this is a big topic. We all think that we can just fix it. There's this easy thing to choose, and once you choose that one thing, you're good to go. But that's not necessarily the case. A couple of shout outs. Chris made a good point whenever he posted, and he said that some people live in places where not only healthy eating is discouraged, but partaking of unhealthy lifestyle is encouraged. Sometimes you hang out with those friends that are like, we run, that's what we do. Then you hang out with those other friends that are like, we don't run, That's what we do. Your environment influences a lot of things that you do. Also, somebody mentioned it's easier or cheaper to buy a can of soda than a bottle of water, so it doesn't make it easier for people with low income to eat healthy. My question would be, do we have to buy bottled water? Next, if people aren't wanting to make the decision to eat healthy food over the processed stuff, then we won't be able to make our nations any healthier. It's true. The reality is that people make the food choices that they make. You can't force them to do things that you want them to do. And please reach out if you have any questions. Like, seriously, let me know.